Hello and good evening. You're tuning in to AWANI tonight with me, Hafiz Marzukhi. The government's stability in the past year is the main factor attracting foreign investors into the country, according to Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim. To hear more about what he said, we'll head over to Australia with our correspondent, Nur Shazwani Saiful Shah.
Okay, thank you, Hafiz. I am here in Melbourne for Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim's first official visit to Australia. Today is the second day and the focus for today is regarding investments and trades, where Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim engaged business leaders and top executives from 18 Australian companies. In Melbourne, in the course of his official visit to Australia, encouraging them to expand their businesses and investments in Malaysia. Apart from a roundtable meeting session, Anwar, who is also the Finance Minister, engaged them on a one-on-one basis to hear them out. The company executives were from the manufacturing sector, including medical devices and metals, as well as the services sector, such as data centers, finance and trading. Anwar also highlighted that Malaysia, under his leadership, has implemented clear and effective policies leading to high levels of investments. He said the government, which is currently stable, is a major factor in attracting investors to Malaysia. Let's hear his explanation.
It's probably the most stable government with more than two-thirds majority after some years of initial, not to say turbulence, but uncertainties and instability. But now we have used the first few months last year to introduce new policies with clarity, either industrial plan, energy transition, the economic agenda.
Now, that was what Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim said. Other than that, Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Dato' Sri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz shared the good news of 7 Australian companies have expressed their commitment to bring in new investments as well as increase existing ones in Malaysia. He said it was informed to Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim of this when they met him in Melbourne on Tuesday. He also said among the potential new investment activities are green technology and also new energy use. I guess that's all for tonight. Stay tuned for more insights from this official visit. From time to time, back to Hafiz in Pusat Penyiaran Asia.
Thanks, Shazwani. Now to local news. The Transport Ministry launched its pilot online driving test system in a bid to tackle corruption among road transport officials. Transport Minister Anthony Loke says he aims for the system to be rolled out at all driving schools by the end of the year.
The pilot program would be carried out at 3 commercial driving institutes in Johor, Penang and Selangor. Over the next 6 months, the Transport Ministry would assess its performance and how to transition from manual to e-testing. Under the e-testing system, almost all driving evaluations will be done using sensors and cameras. The assessment data would then go directly into a database where it would be scored against existing standards prepared by the Road Transport Department. Luke said commercial driving institutes could apply for the system starting next month. He added that the test fees for e-system would be regulated, with motorcycle applications capped at 18 ringgit and car applications at 27 ringgit.
State governments have the right to implement a free higher education policy to help the children from the state. Higher Education Minister Dato' Sri Zamri Abdul Kadir says the policy could be implemented according to the financial capabilities of the respective state government.
He was responding to the statement made by Sarawak Premier Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunopeng on October 1st last year on implementing free education at higher education institutions owned by the Sarawak government for its natives. The plan is expected to be implemented in 2026. According to Abang Johari, about 25,000 Sarawak students in the state are expected to benefit from the free higher education policy.
The government plans to increase flights from Kuala Lumpur to Labuan in its efforts to revive the duty-free island's economy. Federal Territories Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa says the proposal is currently under review within the Labuan Structure Plan 2040 study.
Zalia said she will also look into improving the quality of the ferry service between Sabah and Labuan by adding more ferry operators and increasing the frequency. She said the government will also build new air cargo facilities in stages according to current needs and requests to accommodate cargo activities. Apart from transport, she said relevant agencies have also undertaken measures and are working to improve infrastructure, particularly water and electricity supply on the island.
The government has no plans to adjust the standard time in Peninsular Malaysia from GMT 8 to GMT 7. Deputy Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, Liu Chin Tong, tells the Dewan Rakyat that a change in Malaysian standard time is not necessary and will only burden the people.
Secara umumnya, perbezaan waktu sejam di antara GMT dan GMT 7, GMT 8 dan GMT 7 tidak mempengaruhi kehidupan seharian. Body clock manusia boleh mengatasi perubahan persekitaran dengan baik dengan perbezaan yang sedikit ini.
Liu said the current time zone was chosen for its benefits on the Malaysian lifestyle. He added that it was more suitable in terms of daylight savings and was in line with international standards.
We'll go for a short break. Stay with us.
Assalamualaikum Kuantan. 7 Mac ini, Astro akan ke Masjid Negeri Sultan Ahmad I. Semua dijemput hadir mengimarahkan tazkirah subuh oleh Ustaz Datuk Haji Padli Shah bin Haji Alauddin dan tazkirah maghrib oleh Ustaz Datuk Muhammad Zawawi Yusof. Raikan Ramadan dengan kasidah dan tadabbur Al-Quran. Rapatkan ukhuwah, jumpa di Kuantan.
Welcome back. Malaysia recorded 3 cases of children dying after being left unattended in cars in 2023. Dubbed Forgotten Baby Syndrome, lawyer Azira Aziz highlights that there is a distinction between oversight and clear negligence. Therefore, she stresses the importance of practicing empathy when dealing with such cases.
In terms of case laws, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't found a reported Malaysian case, at least when I look through current law journal, of exactly a situation where it was said the court actually clarifies what forgotten baby syndrome is or convicted someone because of it. The loss of a child in situations where there was unintentional neglect is so traumatic in itself. We actually asked the Attorney General Chambers to actually consider not charging them in court. Because it's very different if the parents high on drugs or, drunk or just wanted, that there were like premeditated intention to deliberately get rid of a child. In situations where these criminal, mens-rea, we call it, criminal intent is not there, I strongly believe that we should not penalize the parents. It could happen to anyone.
Azira shared how cases of children being left alone in cars were handled in the US, noting that people were convicted based on clear evidence of irresponsible parenting.
Even then, they made a distinction. There was 2 cases. One was by a set of parents who were very intoxicated or high on certain substances. And they left the child in the car. So it was clearly neglect, clear-cut neglect, and they were convicted. Another case, the father and the mother was estranged. So it was the father's turn to care for the twins, 1 pair of twins. And the father was drunk and left his daughters in the car and unfortunately led to their death. So convicted. Because it was clear-cut negligence. You were high on drugs, you were intoxicated from alcohol, you were being deliberately irresponsible.
It takes a village to raise a child. Azira shares what bystanders can legally do to ensure the safety and well-being of a child left alone in a car during hot weather.
Firstly, call 999, inform them of the situation. And so at least there's a record for me, like there's a record of you informing the emergency services that this is a situation you found a child. You looked around, there's no parent inside. The child's condition looks like he or she is adversely affected by being locked up in the car. So after that, you just say, I need to ask permission to access the child. At least there's a record that there's a phone call. So there's a record. Then, if need be, in the emergency situation, break the glass of the window of the car to get the child up and save the child.
Ceasefire talks between Hamas and mediators in Egypt have ended, with still no breakthrough only days before Ramadan. Hamas says it presented its proposal for a ceasefire agreement during the 2 days of talks and is now waiting for a response from Israel, which set up this round.
The meeting sought for a 40-day halt in fighting ahead of the fasting month that begins next week. It aimed to free dozens of hostages and allow aid into Gaza to stave off famine. Cairo said it was still in contact with Israel to allow negotiations to continue, even without an Israeli delegation present, while Israel has declined to comment publicly on the discussions.
The head of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees has warned of a deliberate and concerted campaign to eliminate the body and its operations. This comes after Israel accused it of employing over 450 military operatives from Hamas and other armed groups.
Dismantling UNRWA is short-sighted. By doing so, we will sacrifice an entire generation of children, sowing the seeds of hatred, resentment, and future conflict.
Lazzarini did not address Israel's latest allegations but called out Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for saying that UNRWA would not be part of post-war Gaza. He said that UNRWA was functioning hand-to-mouth after 16 countries suspended a total of $450 million in funding, following Israel's accusation in January that 12 UNRWA staff were involved in the October 7th attack by Hamas. An independent internal UN investigation has since been launched. UNRWA employs 13,000 people in Gaza to run schools, clinics and other social services, with some 3,000 still working to deliver aid in Gaza, where a quarter of the population are one step away from famine.
Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has defended a deal made with pop star Taylor Swift to make Singapore the only stop in Southeast Asia on her world tour, stressing that it was not a hostile act towards its neighbours. Lee describes the deal as a success, not only to grow the economy, but also to attract visitors from across the region.
There was a certain incentives provided to her from our Tourism Development Fund. It really is a post-COVID fund to revive tourism after COVID. And a deal was reached. And so it has turned out to be a very successful arrangement. I don't see that as being unfriendly. Sometimes one country makes a deal, sometimes another country does. I don't explicitly say you will come here only on condition that you will go other places.
Singapore's government previously said it had given Swift a grant to play in the city-state without mentioning the terms of the deal. This caused a stir in some neighbouring countries, with Thailand's Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin alleging that Singapore had offered the singers subsidies of up to $3 million per show on the condition that she does not perform elsewhere in the region. Swift is currently halfway through 6 sold-out shows in Singapore, her only stop in Southeast Asia.
Now that wraps up AWANI tonight. I'm Hafiz Marzukhi. Thanks for watching and good night.
Daulat Tuanku.